evening, peoples. All right, it's Tuesday evening going into Wednesday, which is 1 week before Christmas. All right, so here's Roundhill. I'm going to do Defiance next, and then I was promising you guys a comparison, so I will probably do that tomorrow where I compare, then I'm just going to put out each result. So let's jump to Roundhill and go through the individual ones. There were some nice distributions. A normal good one from RDTE dropped a little bit, and this is some kind of a year end, I assume, just a fabulous distribution. So let's start with the S&P 500, 64 cents. Look at last week, 15, that's 4x. That's a month's worth. Now, some months have 5, but most months have 4. But looking through here, I doubt that we have anything near that. We have a 41. Yeah. But we also haven't gone through a year end. So assuming that they're preparing more of the payouts, but there should be another weekly before year end. There will be another weekly after Christmas. So not sure what's going on there, but very positive. I mean, that's a 62.78% yield, and we were up 6 cents compared to distribution day pricing last week. So that's always positive. So let's move to the S&P 500. So here we are, 86.9 peoples. Again, they had a lowly 15 cents, very similar to the S&P 500. So here's NASDAQ 100. It's up 80 cents week over week, right? You always pick the day before. So this is the close of the 17th price. That's what I do every time. 103% yield if every week you got 86 cents. You won't, right? So looking through here, I think there's no way there's a 44 cent, 47, 47, oh, 51, 56. I figured that this, they've had that, they're the highest distributor typically. All right. So that's it, 56, 57. But look at that. That's just fabulous for owning the Nasdaq 100. All right. So let's go to RDTE. So when they pay 26, it's down from 37, and you look at their average, sure, they've had some 26ers, 25s, but that's more on the low range for them. Now, they don't have, in all fairness, the first distribution was 925. So if you're assuming that they're paying more because it's year end, that would be true because you've got 9 months worth of payments, almost 10 months worth of payments in the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500. You only have 3 months, a little less than 3 months of payments in the Russell 2000. So that's very likely. And I'm sure there's a higher percentage of return of capital. So again, these funds have to pay it all out, or I'm sorry, 90% of it out. I think that's the rule. Otherwise, they pay income taxes, and they don't want to have to do that. All right, guys. So that's those 31.72. Let's go over and look at our summary. All right, so here we are, XDTE QDTE again. You see 3.7, right, and 9.10. And then you don't get paid. Like the first payment was 3.25, and the first payment here was like 9.25. So these are interesting. Look at, they're tied, but they took different paths. This is why I like total return. If you look at QDTE, the NASDAQ 100, they did it here. They paid 86 versus 64 on a cheaper priced fund, 43.74 versus 53.18. So you see why the dividend return so far is 25.76 through these 286 days that it's been paying. Okay, or this assumes you bought it at inception, right? You could have bought it the day before that it distributed, and then you would have owned it a little less time. But I just picked the price that at launch. And then what happens when these run multiple years, then I start to go back like 6 months or something like that. Because otherwise you're just trending on multiple years, and you want some semblance of what's it done for me lately type thing. All right. So RDTE, look at this dividend. Now you expect a lower return when it hasn't had a chance to accumulate. It's got 99 days if you bought it at inception versus 286. Obviously, that's almost 3 times, or it's only 1/3, right? So if you go here, you would be right about that, and all you have to do is look. This is your annual. That's why I do a dividend annualized, which is why I need the days in the calculation, the percentage of the year. So looking at XDTE, we have a 23.86 is our annualized dividend. Well, obviously, if it's up 7%, over 7% in 286 days, at 365 days, it's up 9, getting close to 10. But look what happens. They lost on their NAV, right? They started at 46.44. It's currently at 43.74, even though it was up over last week. So they took a hit of 5.81% through the 286 days. And annualized, that's 7. So that they went different paths. If you want more money along the way, you want to own the NASDAQ 100. At least you would have over the last 9 months. Who's to say that's the same going forward, right? So look at these guys. You're slightly up 25.46 to 25.11, and they got there differently. The dividend annualizes 32%. You subtract away the NAV loss of 7 and you get 25.46. Over here, you get your 23.36 and you get to add a small gain, right? You're at 53.18. You would have bought at 52.46 at inception. Again, I have to pick a start price when I show this, right? And the reason, I always say this to you guys, the reason this one is so skewed is because it's paying well, right? It's paying 36% if you annualize it, right? But it's still, and it actually lost for the week. The other two gained one, the QDTE gained more in the week over last week than XDT, but they were both up. RDTE was down. Okay. But it still is running with a 5.95%. In inception at 42, it's currently still 44.5. So that's what kicks it in. Those 99 days, they get more than 3 times that, right? Which, who's to say that that's going to be more accurate? So that's why sometimes you're comparing apples to oranges, right? So when I do my promised Roundhill versus Defiance, I'm going to take, since Defiance has gone weekly, however long that is, I think it was September 23rd, somewhere in September, and I'm going to take Roundhill the same period of time. Otherwise, I'm looking at Roundhill in 1 year and figuring their averages and Defiance's own. So if you don't really compare apples to apples, compare same time frame, exact market, right? The S&P 500, that's going to tell you how those funds are going to stack up. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll have that out shortly for you guys. So anyway, this one is a bit skewed, but the Russell has been outperforming, but maybe that's ending too. Okay. And you all know about XPay. This is that targeted. It'll be real interesting when they're going to show what they're going to pay in January. I haven't gone out and looked, but since they pay monthly and they're targeting around a total of 20% return, right? And I take each payment and add them. So they won't have another payment until in January, the end of the first week of January. And they'll announce that ahead of time. And I want to see how far they're going to pay out. My guess is maybe 3 months, maybe a quarter at a time. I don't envision them announcing their payment amount like they did here. Um, where do they show? Um, yeah, I'd have to go and look on my distribution sheet. There we go. The 97 cents once a month, right? That's like 25 cents on 4 weeks. Let's see what that's going to be targeted at, and will they announce a quarter ahead? That's what my guess is. Okay, guys, that's what I got for you on Roundhill. I'm going to get Defiances out next for you, and then it'll probably be a day before I do the comparison. As you know, we've got EOMax early tomorrow morning on Wednesday. All right, guys, that's what I got. Again, Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation. This is not financial advice. It's for fun and entertainment. Have a great evening ahead and day tomorrow. We also got the FOMC tomorrow. All right, guys, bye for now.